The pod cut through Earth's atmosphere like a scalpel through soft flesh, unnoticed by the archaic satellites still orbiting the planet. They called it a ghost world, abandoned, overgrown, and long past relevance. The Union classified it as a non-threat. But classified or not, the previous for survey teams never reported back. Commander Velthrex didn't care. He had a job, and it started with landing on an ancient Terran city buried beneath vines, glass, and silence. Threx stepped out first, followed by his squad 12 genetically enhanced soldiers from 5 different species. He activated his helmet. Hudden scanned the perimeter. The air was breathable, gravity stable, radiation levels negligible. But the quiet, oppressive, he didn't like it. The kind of silence that seemed staged to perfect. Not a single bird, no wind. Even their footsteps sounded muffled. Spread and scan, he ordered. We're in and out in 3 cycles. Buildings stood like relics, some shattered, others pristine as if untouched by time. His translator pinged with dozens of Earth languages, road signs, storefronts, faded posters plastered with military slogans. One caught his eye: freedom isn't free. Private Corin chuckled over comms. They loved their drama, didn't they? They loved their war. Threx replied, eyeing a toppled statue of a man holding a rifle. Let's hope they're as dead as they are theatrical. Data pulses from his team came in erratic. Equipment behaved oddly. Mapping drones returned mirrored layouts, and their topographical readings contradicted visuals. Buildings shifted locations. Streets looped into themselves. On one corner, they passed the same coffee shop 3 times. A glitch in their HUDs, he assumed. Private Ishtar vanished on the 2nd day. No screams, no alarms, just gone. One moment her vitals pinged green, the next, flatline. Her tracker blinked for another 6 minutes before ceasing altogether. They found her gear folded neatly beside a rusted school bus. No blood, no signs of struggle. Threx initiated a regroup, for others failed to return. Half the squad was missing, and their synced footage was corrupted. Nothing but static, shadows, and faint recordings of children laughing. The word playtime whispered on loop in half a dozen Terran dialects. No one laughed after that. He ordered fallback to the landing zone, but the ship was gone, vanished. Not destroyed, not disabled, simply not there. In its place stood a colossal bronze eagle, eyes staring blankly at them. It hadn't been there before. None of them remembered seeing it, but the base plate was dated 1776. That night, Corin lost it, screaming about voices inside his head. He fired his plasma rifle into the darkness, crying out, "They're in the walls. They remember us." Threx sedated him and ordered to guards, but come morning, Corin was gone. Only a single line scratched into the concrete where he slept. History is a weapon. Threx activated emergency evac protocols. Nothing triggered. Their beacons failed to transmit. The orbital network was gone, or perhaps never there. He manually boosted a distress signal using his own armor's core. The only response came in the form of a message not from Union Command, but Earth's defunct satellite systems. Transmission received. Awaiting debrief. He moved toward the largest intact structure, a domed building marked Smithsonian War Archives. Its doors opened without prompt, and lights flickered on in sequence. Inside, walls were lined with weapons, photographs, military uniforms, quotes etched into steel and marble. He walked through history like a condemned man pacing his own graveyard. Screens activated as he passed. Footage played real wars, real death, bodies in trenches, nuclear flashes, cities in flames, parades for broken veterans. Documents floated holographically, each timestamped and signed Hiroshima, Vietnam, Baghdad, Fallujah. The faces stared at him, not in anger, but disappointment. They were showing him something. He entered a room marked Unfinished Conflicts. His squad's final known positions were marked on a central display, each tagged with a human conflict from the past. One vanished at Verdun, another near Saigon. One disappeared in a reconstructed Afghan valley. These were not coincidences. Earth was replicating its own history and folding intruders into it. A new message appeared on the screen in front of him. "You are not ready to understand us." He turned, pulse racing. movement. But nothing came, just shadows. Still, something was different. A presence, not malicious, not exactly, observant, curious, judging. Threx's final log entry was shaky, his voice cracking. This planet, it's not dead, it's remembering. It's showing us everything it was, every reason it became what it did. The power isn't in their weapons, it's in their memory, their stories, their refusal to forget. He tried to upload the footage. Every attempt failed. The files rewrote themselves, replacing data with quotes. One stood out above the rest. Those who do not remember the past are condemned to repeat it. Threx stared at the recording device as it short-circuited in his hand. Lights in the room dimmed, one by one. Images faded until only one remained, a child saluting a flag against a backdrop of ruin. Below it, etched in cracked marble, "We never left. We just learned to hide in plain sight." He fell to his knees, alone. The signal he boosted finally pulsed once more, confirmed delivery. But no response came. He spoke into the dead line. "Anyway, they're not gone. They're not extinct. They're listening, and they're waiting. Tell the Union to close the door and never come back." The feed cut off. In the Union control room, no one spoke. The room was quiet as they watched the last frame, Threx staring directly into the lens. Eyes haunted, whispering one final word that no translator could mistranslate. "No matter the species, remember." He woke up 3 days later on a sterile table aboard the Union's primary medical cruiser. His armor was gone, his weapons stripped, and his neural implant had been surgically disabled. The label on the chart read, "Subject, Velthrex, status, physically stable, mentally compromised." He didn't speak, not to the medics, not to the interrogators, not even when they tried invasive memory scans. His eyes remained fixed on nothing, flickering only when someone mentioned Earth. The Union had questions. How had he returned alone? What happened to the others? Why did the distress logs terminate mid-transmission? Why were there no visuals, no telemetry, no synth battlefield recordings? The only surviving data was corrupted, replaced with visual hallucinations and erratic symbols that no linguist or AI could decode. Every attempt to replay footage led to a loop of a human child staring into a camera, whispering the same line over and over, "You were never invited." Interrogators tried chemical stimulation, threats, simulations. They even created a reconstructed Earth-like setting in a containment dome, hoping it would trigger recognition or a break in his silence. Threx didn't flinch. He stared at the synthetic sky and quietly mouthed a phrase no one understood at first until one translator recognized it. From ancient Earth media, Semper Fi. Weeks passed. Threx refused nourishment unless it was placed beside a printed flag and old Earth emblem. Blue field, white stars, red stripes. He never asked for it. He never explained it. But when it was absent, he simply stopped eating. When they finally gave in and placed the flag, he would sit cross-legged and eat in complete silence, always staring at the cloth. He began drawing. At first, random lines, then symbols, then sketches of battlefields, crude replicas of Earth tanks, and rifles. Then came the portraits, faces of humans, aged and young, soldiers and civilians, always in pairs, one angry, one grieving. Some he etched into the walls of his holding cell. Others he painted in his own blood on the floor. The doctors said he was deteriorating, but analysts disagreed. The images had meaning, precision, story. The Union Council panicked. This wasn't just trauma, it was transmission, a message embedded in madness. Threx had become a carrier. Whatever he saw on Earth had altered his neural signature. His dreams triggered electromagnetic pulses. Surveillance footage often captured human audio, old radio broadcasts, battlefield speeches, or wartime songs, though no devices were broadcasting. One night, a nurse entered his room and heard the Star-Spangled Banner echoing from the vents. More disturbing still, anyone who spent extended time near him began experiencing shared hallucinations, memories that weren't theirs, Earth's memories. One officer broke down sobbing after seeing flashes of a soldier dragging his injured friend across a minefield. Another woke up screaming the words "napalm sticks to kids," a reference pulled directly from the Vietnam era. One by one, People began refusing to work the Threx assignment. The Union labeled it a containment anomaly and reclassified Earth as PSY Warzone Alpha. All further missions were cancelled. Still, debates raged in the Council. Some demanded Earth be sterilized. Others urged more study. But no one had answers. Then Threx escaped. He vanished during a systems malfunction aboard the cruiser. Cameras failed, locks disengaged, no alarms triggered. By the time they noticed, he was already gone. Only one thing was left behind, a folded Terran flag placed carefully on the bed. Beneath it the words written in Earth's old alphabet. They let me leave. I didn't escape. Security footage revealed nothing, only static and flickering wartime imagery across every screen. Engineers who reviewed the logs found traces of an ancient Earth programming language buried deep in the cruiser's core, altering systems in real time. Impossible, unless someone or something had remote access. One theory gained traction. Threx hadn't left Earth alone. The rumors spread faster than the Union could control. Whispers of Project Resurrection, a supposed Terran protocol that activated only when threatened by off-world entities. A few claimed that Earth wasn't a planet, it was a vault, that the war machine humanity built had never gone offline, just dormant, awaiting the right trespass to wake it. Theories piled up: psychic warfare, memory viruses, post-human sentience embedded into planetary systems. Whatever it was, Earth had turned one of their best soldiers into a message, a warning encoded in trauma and silence. He wasn't speaking because he couldn't. The truth wasn't something he could say. It had to be felt. The Council ordered a galaxy-wide suppression of any Earth-related data. Archives were sealed, civilian access blocked, but it was already too late. Copies of Threx's drawings began appearing on Blacknet servers. Some showed ruined Earth cities. Others depicted battles that hadn't happened yet, with alien soldiers falling before faceless Terran figures. Private citizens began posting dreams of Earth, stories that matched the images Threx had scrawled. Artists drew the same emblems. Children recited fragments of Earth history without ever learning it. Somewhere in the dark, Earth's story was bleeding back into the galaxy, not through war, not through ships or weapons, but through memory. And none of it was accidental. The last confirmed sighting of Velthrex came from a station orbiting the Anchor Abyss. Security logs recorded a figure placing a small black box on the docking console before disappearing into an unauthorized escape pod. The box contained a single device, a Terran data crystal labeled in English, "Remember us." Since then, no one has seen him, but transmissions have started to spike in deep space. Broadcasts carrying Earth's languages, music, static-laced speeches, quotes from wars long past, and always the same closing line, whispered in a voice that defies all alien tongues. They never wanted to conquer the galaxy. They just wanted it to remember. The box was brought to the Union Central Archives under maximum containment. 5 levels of encryption, 12 firewalls. Even the AI custodians were isolated during decryption. But when the box was opened, it didn't release a virus or malware. It released memories, millions of them. The crystal didn't contain data in the traditional sense. It stored experiences, sensations, emotional states, compressed simulations of humanity's history. Analysts watched in horror as the playback began. It started with childhood laughter, rain on pavement, the warmth of family, then shifted, footage of muddy trenches, gas-choked screams, Hiroshima's white flash, starvation in Siberia, gunfire on African plains, the Twin Towers, crumbling in dust, every tragedy a thread, every sacrifice stitched into a story no one had permission to forget. One by one, hardened analysts broke, not from gore, but from meaning, the unbearable weight of it. They weren't watching humans die, they were being made to feel why humans fought, why they wept, and why they never stopped getting up. The deeper they dove, the clearer it became. The recordings weren't passive, they were weapons, engineered not to kill the body, but to shatter the will. It wasn't long before the project received a name: Nemo-class warfare, memory as artillery, empathy as payload. Earth had turned its history into a defense system, a fortress built not of steel or walls, but of remembrance. The more you tried to understand them, the more you lost yourself in their grief, their rage, their endurance. Lyridrose, a civilian archivist with no combat experience, was the first to see the pattern. She noticed inconsistencies in the recovered data, not gaps, but deliberate shapes. Every soldier exposed to Earth had hallucinated similar things: a girl with a red balloon, a soldier giving water to an enemy, a battlefield where both sides wept. Archetypes, repeating motifs engineered to bypass logic and speak directly to the soul. "This isn't a planet," she said to the emergency review board, her voice shaking. "It's a memorial, and we tried to rob it." Some dismissed her, others listened in silence. But she pushed further, comparing data from every failed Earth expedition. The patterns were too precise. The planet didn't just remember its past, it curated it, presented it, taught it, not to humans but to TRESPASSERS. Earth, she concluded, was humanity's final masterpiece. A weaponized narrative, a machine that didn't fight back in the conventional sense. It showed you what it meant to be human, what it cost, and if you still chose to fight after seeing that, you wouldn't leave the same. The term echo fields was coined soon after. Invisible zones on Earth that projected curated experiences into intruders' minds. Not hallucinations, but personalized interactions with humanity's memory. Each invader faced something different. Each left either broken or not at all. Suddenly, the disappearances made sense. The silence, the trauma. Threx hadn't escaped Earth. He had been released, chosen, a living message, a warning that didn't use force, but sorrow. One transmission buried in the last expedition's corrupted files included an Earth AI signature labeled Penelope. Its voice was calm, gentle, almost maternal. The message was short: we preserved ourselves the only way left, not with walls, but stories. We knew we could not win by numbers, so we made sure anyone who trespassed would understand us before they destroyed us. If that is still not enough, then you were never meant to survive us. The council erupted in chaos. A vote was cast. Earth was to be quarantined indefinitely. No probes, no ships. Any attempt to access its atmosphere would trigger automated countermeasures of unknown design, not missiles, but memories. But Lyra wasn't done. Digging deeper into the black archives, she found fragments of communications between Earth's final governments, initiatives labeled Project Testament, Legacy Protocol, and Siren Seed. Every one of them pointed to the same conclusion: Earth's defenses were not passive. They were reactive. They evolved with each incursion. Every time someone landed, the story sharpened, refined, personalized. The more the galaxy tried to forget Earth, the more unforgettable it became. She addressed the council one last time, bringing a reconstructed frame of the final words from a preserved human broadcast. It was an old man, standing before a ruined city, speaking to no one. His voice cracked with age and truth. "If we are to be remembered, let it not be for conquest. Let it be because we endured. Let it be because we were worth remembering." After that, the Union shut the case. Earth became a myth, a name whispered with fear, awe, and shame. Official records said nothing, but among the shadows, the legend grew. They began to call it the planet of ghosts, not because it was haunted, but because it made you haunted. Some claimed that merely orbiting the planet gave you dreams. Some said they heard music hold Earth songs through static on Union comms. Others believed that Earth wasn't just remembering, it was watching. Lyra disappeared shortly after leaking a classified message. They didn't build a weapon. They built a mirror, and it showed us exactly what we never wanted to see. In the end, the Union didn't send another fleet. Not because they couldn't, but because every soldier who studied the Threx file, every pilot briefed on Earth, every analyst who tried to outthink its stories, chose not to go. That was the last lesson Earth had left for them. Not how to fight, but how to never forget why you shouldn't start. He was seen again, not in person, but in signals. A quiet listening post on the edge of the Orion Verge intercepted a narrowband transmission. Old format, analog, no signature. Carried across deep space on a decaying wave, the data packet contained no coordinates, no threat, no demand. Just an audio file, a child's voice, reciting softly, "We remember everything," within hours. 58 Union observatories confirmed similar anomalies, signals in Earth languages, fragments of wartime radio, Morse code tapping out lines. From Terran poetry, every probe stationed in Sol's vicinity went dark simultaneously. No explosions, no energy spikes, just silence, followed by one final message: you had your warning. The council convened in a state of emergency. Military strategists debated protocol. Others urged diplomacy, or surrender, or ignorance. But one truth sat like a weight on every shoulder: no one had seen Earth strike. It didn't invade. It didn't retaliate. It simply reminded them it was still here. And that was enough. Whispers of the Silent Legion began circulating through the Undernet, a rogue faction of species who had once stepped foot on Earth and returned with minds fractured, yet focused. They believed Earth was not just alive, but divine. Some sought its wisdom. Others warned that disturbing it again would wake something none of them could understand. The Union denied their existence, but on backwater moons and shadowed stations, the signs spread. Murals of human soldiers appeared on asteroid settlements, figures standing upright under tattered flags, eyes staring outward with a calm that bordered on holy. The words "never again" etched in over 30 alien alphabets. No one claimed them, but no one painted over them either. A year passed, then 2, then 5. More broadcasts came, not in the form of threats, but cultural artifacts: Earth's music, Earth's speeches, documentaries, operas, protests. The story kept telling itself, even when no one asked. A relentless reminder that humanity had once burned bright, and that flame, however distant, could still set fire to the stars. Then came the ship. No name, no ID, its hull matched no design cataloged by any known empire. Its frame was crude, asymmetrical, built from repurposed alloys once common to Earth. It appeared in the upper atmosphere of a dead moon in neutral space, remained for 13 minutes, then jumped to light speed, destination unknown. But it wasn't stealth that frightened the council, it was what the ship broadcast before leaving. A single image, the Earth, viewed from orbit, peaceful, blue, whole. But in the lower corner of the frame was a timestamp, thousands of years old. The implication was immediate and terrifying. The footage wasn't recent. It had never left. That image had been waiting, patient, untouched, until it was time to be shown. Someone dashed something on Earth. Had planned this. They weren't reacting. They were guiding. Fear took new shape. The Union no longer worried about invasion. Now they feared infiltration. Had Earth seeded agents? Did they send threats to spread this infection of memory? Had their history become contagious? Was this why? Every analyst who reviewed the files began reporting dreams, hallucinations, strange empathy. One admiral resigned after claiming she'd lived an entire human lifetime in a single night. She woke with tears on her cheeks, whispering the names of sons she never had. On a remote agricultural world, a child drew a symbol in the dirt, an old Earth military crest perfectly replicated. Her parents were miners, had no history or access to Union military records. When asked where she saw it, she replied, "He showed me." Who? The quiet man in the stars. It was no longer a question of whether Earth still existed. That debate had ended long ago. The question now was, what had it become? Across every sector, unmarked caches began to appear. Metal boxes containing Earth media books, letters, war logs, museum guides. They weren't left in military zones or political strongholds. They appeared in libraries, homes, temples, always where knowledge was kept, always without explanation. Inside one box, a handwritten note in English: "We left behind more than ruins. We left our reasons. You can destroy a body, but not a lesson." The Union couldn't track the source, but they knew the effect. Entire species began adopting Earth customs, planting flags, holding moments of silence, building memorials to conflicts they never fought. Humanity had become a cautionary tale, a ghost story, a religion, a mirror. Still, no fleets came from Earth, no ambassadors, no gods, just the same message, repeating across the stars like a cold breath on the back of civilization's neck. Remember us. On the 100th anniversary of Velthrix's return, a memorial was erected not to him, but to the unknown. A monument shaped like a Terran tombstone, placed at the edge of Union space. It bore no name, just one inscription. We went looking for the forgotten, and they taught us why we forget. In a classroom far from Seoul, a child stared at a holomap of ancient Earth. She pointed to it and asked her instructor, "Why don't we ever go there?" The teacher paused. He had once been a fleet officer. He'd studied the Threx report. He'd seen the faces, heard the voices. He answered carefully, "Because sometimes remembering is enough to make us stop trying to destroy each other." The girl thought for a moment, then nodded. Outside, in the cold light of distant suns, the stars whispered with ancient signals, and somewhere, deep in the void, a voice whispered once again, "They never wanted to be feared, only understood."